This is poster 3 in the series of what keeps us inspired at Studio JDB. What are the goals that we set at the start of a new year, and how do we remind ourselves of the tasks at hand, of the plan and the purposes behind what a calendar year looks like. This third poster is titled The Man in the Arena. The Man in the Arena. It is not the critic who counts, nor the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marked by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actively strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. Theodore Roosevelt said these words, and as many of those Theodore Roosevelt's words have been recorded, I recall, do correct me in the comments, I recall that he said these words at one of the rallies as he was rallying to become the President of the United States. And since Theodore Roosevelt had an active and long political career, you can find many of his quotes and recorded sayings in book format, and I'd highly encourage you to at least read one of the biographies about his life. Theodore really is the man in the arena in the era that he was part of the political landscape of the United States of America. And to me, as a man in the 22nd century, as a man who grows up in the digital age, I find it extremely refreshing to listen to someone who says, the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marked by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short and short again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. I don't want to finish that on a negative note, right? The saying, the poem, the speech continues with far more positive aspects and celebrates he who does these things enthusiastically. And so in my life, what has greatly encouraged me is that I enjoy learning a lot. And I enjoy learning for my own sake. I enjoy learning to share with others, to be the master of a craft and to train and teach an apprentice. And I like to be in a position where the thing that I have studied and tried to learn actively over and over again, the thing that I practice, that to me is Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000 hours, the striving to become an expert in something. And so in slightly older years, or yesterday's age, the age of Theodore Roosevelt, he doesn't say 10,000 hours. He doesn't know Malcolm Gladwell. And he refers to the 10,000 hours as the man in the arena, the man who's there with blood, sweat, and tears. And so in our lives, I hope you find things to do that when you do them, it makes you feel like you're in the arena, There's a battle going on, there's a fight to be had, there's a prize to be won, there's a goal to be achieved, but it won't come easy. You'll get punched in the face a few times, you'll come short again and again, you'll be marred by blood and dust, and you are not just in the arena, you are also not listening to the critic, because the critic doesn't count. You are not listening to the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who's actually in the arena. The credit belongs to the people out there doing the work. And that touches to me on aspects of architecture, on aspects of design, where it is enjoyable to take part in prize givings and ceremonies. It is enjoyable to be given the opportunity to represent a business, a brand, and win a commercial award for design excellence. But the critic doesn't count. The man in the arena counts. It is you, the designer, the architect, the builder, the engineer, who does the work and sees that work come to fruition. And celebrate that within yourself. Hold that up to yourself as the highest standard. Hold yourself up to yourself and say, let's continue in the arena, let's continue to do the work, let's not become critics, let's not watch this from the sideline, and let's not be a team leader who no longer designs, a founder who no longer crafts, a director who no longer builds. Let's continue to be in the arena and do all these things, because then we truly practice our craft. And so Theodore Roosevelt in this way encourages me as a founder of a small design studio with 4 apprentices, of which 2 are studying or have just finished studying. I find myself drawn to governing and managing and operations. But at the end of the day, I want to be back in the arena. I want to be there with the people that I love working with. I want to be there doing the designing. So I hope that this encourages you in your profession, in what you do, to continue to design, to continue the craft that you set out to do, even though you and your team might have grown beyond the need for you to be designing, to be doing the craft, and that you find yourself again in the arena covered in dust, in sweat, in blood and tears. If this has inspired you, please take a look at this playlist that is full of my musings about the posters that are currently hanging in my studio. Each year we set out to find what is our passion and purpose for this new calendar year. What are the goals that we are setting? And to commemorate that we have set these goals, we hang up these visual reminders, these 3 posters. These 3 posters this year covered the famous poem by George Bernard Shaw, to belong to the community and to give one's life for it, to live life out to the fullest. It contained a poster about Madame Clicquot, Veuve Clicquot, the widow who revolutionized the champagne making process. And last but not least, Theodore Roosevelt, the man in the arena. If this has inspired you, please give this video a like and subscribe, and follow along for more content about design thinking, the design process, workflows, our passion for SketchUp, and the advent of AI and how it is affecting and changing our use of the design software and our preferred workflows. I hope this has been helpful. Please share this if you know other people who would find this inspiring as well. And follow along for more content. I wish you a great day.